Right now in Formula 1, there's a battle going on between two of the sport's most important groups. On the one hand, you have Formula 1 itself, alongside tyre manufacturer Pirelli and the FIA, and on the other, it's the drivers. The point of contention comes down to tyre blankets, and it's an issue that's not going away anytime soon. What are tyre blankets? If you've ever seen a Formula 1 car in the garage waiting to go out onto the track, you'll have noticed there are 4 people crouched down and tightly holding a black blanket over each tyre. What these are electronically heated tyre blankets, which keep the rubber at 100 degrees Celsius, meaning that when the driver does head out onto the track, they have better performance and should be able to get them up to full temperature by the end of a single lap. But if a driver were to head out on track with cold tyres, they would find it much harder to stick to the road and therefore would have to go slower in order to stay on track. This is also massively dependent on the circuit and in particular the region, for while drivers have an easier time warming up tyres in hot countries such as Bahrain and Saudi Arabia, their task is tougher in milder climates such as Great Britain and Canada. Why does F1 want them banned? But Formula 1 is on a sustainability drive. For a sport that has a reputation for being one of the biggest carbon producers out there, they attempted to end that by announcing an ambitious plan to become carbon zero by 2030. F1 has taken many steps to fix this, from the introduction of new engines from 2026 to the installation of solar panels at circuits to power the paddock and pit lane. But another area of focus is the tyre blankets. If you consider that each driver has 4 wheels and 4 blankets heated to 100 degrees, that's a lot of energy needed before a car even gets onto the track. F1 believes the sport can survive without the energy needed for heating 20 sets of tyres, and asked tyre supplier Pirelli to begin preparations for F1 to abandon the use of tyre warmers from the 2024 season onwards. Since receiving that order, Pirelli has been pushing on with a program to develop new tyres that do not need pre-warming. These tyres were first put through their paces after a test at Silverstone following the British Grand Prix. This is what motorsport director for Pirelli, Mario Isola, said beforehand. Silverstone is one of the races where we have 2 days of testing after the race. And the idea is that after Silverstone, we will analyse the data and we will analyse the situation together with the teams, the FIA and F1. Then we will decide if we can achieve the target for 2024 or if it's necessary to postpone it. Why are the drivers against it? From what we've told you so far, it would seem like everyone is on board with this measure that will help to reduce the impact of climate change, but this is where the drivers come in. The drivers are an important voice in F1 and have pretty much universally been against the idea of getting rid of tyre blankets. After the United States Grand Prix, world champion Max Verstappen tried a test where instead of removing blankets, the tyres were instead heated to 50 degrees and well, he pretty much hated it. Yes, it was not enjoyable. I drove on tyres that were warmed to 50 degrees, I think it was, and I almost spun in the pit lane already. Of course, I also had the hardest compound, but I think there's a lot more to it. If we have the tyre blankets anyway, why don't we just use them to the fullest because they're there? You either go just full blankets or zero, not middle way because we have them already. We don't need to buy new ones. I think we're going to have a lot of crashes. That I know already compared to what we have at the moment, but yeah, it's tough. Also, your tyre degradation is going to be completely different because your tyres are very cold. You're sliding around a lot in the first few laps. Your tyre pressures are going to go through the roof, so your tyres are going to degrade a lot more. At the moment, I don't really enjoy it, but a lot of drivers say the same, and we have to find a solution to that. Austin is still a track where you can easily switch on the tyres because of the high-speed cornering. But if you go to like a track like a street circuit or Monaco, can you imagine on like half-half conditions? I think it's going to take half of the race before you have like temperature on your tyres. The Dutchman isn't alone in his complaints, and it's not often Verstappen and Hamilton agree on something, but in the case of tyre blankets, they certainly do. The 7-time world champion said removing tyre blankets altogether was dangerous. He said, I've tested the no blankets and there's going to be an incident at some stage. So with the safety factor, I think it's the wrong decision. Also, you have to drive multiple laps to get the tyres to work. The whole argument is that taking away the blankets is going to be more sustainable and more green, but in actual fact, we just use more fuel to get the temperature into the tyres. But more concerning is just when you go out, the car is skating around and it's very twitchy. If someone else is on tyres that are working, you could easily collide with them, so it's a pointless exercise. Hamilton's Mercedes teammate George Russell predicted the same thing as Verstappen, and that is a sharp increase in crashes. He said, "I think if you go to a circuit such as Barcelona, which is quite an aggressive tarmac, it was 40-odd degree track temperature, fully rubbered in from the race weekend. The tyres were very sketchy coming out of the pit lane, but by about turn 5 on the outlap, it was at a respectable level. But if I compare that in contrast with the start of the year, when I did one run in Jerez in 10-degree track temperature, it was extremely difficult getting out of the pits. And if I'm being totally honest, I don't think we as a sport are at a position yet to bring these tyres into a racing scenario. I'd be very concerned for all the mechanics in the pit lane during a pit stop. I'd be very concerned for the outlap from a race in cold conditions. There will be crashes, I have no doubt about it. And I think there's a lot of work, expense, development going into these tyres. I feel like that could be put elsewhere." And a man who shared the podium with both Verstappen and Hamilton in Silverstone also agrees, with Lando Norris summing it up when he revealed no driver wants it. So F1 is preparing itself for a war. On one side, the governing bodies are keen to push this rule through, but so far they have 20 drivers opposing it. So it seems F1 is at a crossroads. Do they stick to their guns and get rid of the tyre blankets, or do they keep the drivers happy and allow them to still be used? Right now, it's anyone's guess which way they'll go. Vote on the horizon. The crucial next stage for this process is set to come at any moment before July 31st, with the FIA set to hold a vote on whether they should push ahead with their tyre blanket ban. The FIA rules state that a simple majority of competitors must vote in favour, meaning a minimum of 5 teams is enough to push this vote through, but right now that number seems a very ambitious target. As always, thanks for watching this video, and be sure to let us know in the comments whether you think removing tyre blankets is a good idea, or if the F1 and the FIA should listen to its drivers. In the meantime, like the video and click subscribe so you never miss a release here on the DRS Straight.